Shut up.
Welcome back to an episode of Debates Never Die. It's been a year since we last did one online. Lads, it's good to see you all like this. Toby, especially you, brother. You know, I've been very excited to catch you live since Arsenal won the Premier League. But you know what? We got to discuss both things, both the Premier League and the Champions League. We got to start off with our good friend, Mvu, Chief. I know you join us in a wounded state, sir. How are you this evening?
But I'm not wounded, bro. I'm good. I'm good. Champions of
At least, bro. At least. You gotta keep your head up. We got Chiefs with the scarf representing the mighty Arsenal. Chiefs, thank you for joining us. I know it was difficult to get you online as well. We're grateful to have you here.
Yeah, man. I'm up a couple Prem titles, man. What can I say? You know, life is a winner. It's different.
Last but not least, the man in the PSG scarf, Toby.
Yes, sir. Hey, bro, I'm good. Welcome to the table, guys. It's another Premier League to add to your record, so I'm happy. Guys, come and join me. But yeah, what's up?
You know what?
That was the parade.
It's my name.
Apparently.
For the viewers that don't know, Toby lives in North London. I'll put his address up after, so you can all go see where he stays. He went to the parade.
Bro, I want
And
to take
for the other viewers who don't know, Toby grew up an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, man.
But you know,
Both statements are true. And just to add to that, there's video footage of a man who looks very similar to Toby in the parade. I'll post it on our channel. So I'm not saying it was Toby, but I'm just saying, you know, hey, everyone wants to be an Arsenal fan.
There's evidence advanced against Toby, but lads, we don't have all the time in the world. The most important thing to discuss, as everyone knows by now, Arsenal are at last Premier League champions. I gotta be honest with you guys. I fell to my knees when it finally happened.
Pause.
I
This guy's childish, dude.
I don't think I felt that light as an adult. Like I genuinely felt like I'm like freed. Like it felt like there was something on me. I haven't had a pain in my lower back since then. I feel like a different person. I'm grateful. It's made me think about a lot of things. It made me think about the things I've said about Arteta. Some I regret, some I don't. Overall, I think as Arsenal fans, we can say we've desperately needed this feeling of just being champions. It's not something you can take away, no matter how they've tried to with respective narratives around whether the football is entertaining or not and everything else that's come our way. Sheiks, I think you're probably the most celebratory mood even now. What was your take? How did you take it all in? Pause.
Thank you for the pause. Now listen, man, I never doubted us. Never doubted us for a second, bro. No, man, in all seriousness, you just feel the weight lifted. Like the only other time in a football sense I felt this way was when Messi won the World Cup. And you just know, cause there's an incongruence between your day-to-day life as an Arsenal fan versus the narratives online. I think as 3 Arsenal fans here for the past 4 years, we've known if we're not the best team in the country, we're second, right? And not looking at numbers, but like actual what this team can do. So similar to Messi, before he won the World Cup, you knew he was the greatest player of all time. But when he finally did the thing that makes it irrefutable, there's no other conversation to be had, right? You just feel that way. You feel sanity. That's the best way to put it. You feel sanity re-enter your reality. That's exactly how this felt. We should have won this thing in 23-24 if we're keeping it apart. We just did absolute nonsense, right? But life happens. So we had to kind of live with this guy who's saying he's happy for us. I have your TikToks bookmarked. Don't come with your lies. You weren't happy for us. You're waiting for this downfall. Alas, it doesn't matter because we are champions. And Tanya, to what you said, to kind of build on it, I'm a bit more of an extremist. Not only do I look back at some of the things I said, I'm here to say, everyone, you get a clean slate. All of you, Madueke, new contract. Martinelli, new contract.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
now you take it too far.
No.
I take it too far.
No. Listen, I
Bring
hear
back
you.
Davis.
Listen, I appreciate the overwhelming feeling of euphoria that's clearly taken over. It's made me mindful of the fact that, you know, there's certain players who fought for us throughout who I was too harsh on. The first one being Trossard. But that being said, when we discuss the Premier League, we have lots to be grateful for. But when we discuss the Champions League, brother, that's the first name on my list where I'm saying that guy has got to go. Unfortunately.
Look, man, we can let the reality of everything settle in come August. Right now, my Oaks are a few Prem titles in, Max Dowman, more Prem titles than Bruno Fernandes. What are you talking about? There's no space for logic. Oaks, we did it, eh? We're actually Premier League. You know how many times I've rewatched that lift, eh? I actually made the celebration my lock screen on my phone. Every time it's towing more battery. My battery dies in 3 hours. I don't care. I see Odegaard and Eze. It's phenomenal. Sorry, Mvu. We're going to take it to Mvu next, but yeah, no, I'm up, man.
Yes, it took a while for you to believe in us, so we need your stance the most, actually.
No. Let's not do that.
I also don't like that. I don't like that.
Start of the season, in Mvu, there is a video where I said, brother, believe this is our year. Sheik's edited it very nicely to show that moment of reflection when you said, nah, not this year. That was this season. Let's not forget. It took you a while before you believed wholeheartedly. Not that you weren't backing the boys, but you had reservations, and rightfully so. Like, why you had your doubts.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about it?
You know that video of that I think it's the American footballers like, I got a ring. I don't know the names. Leo, just use the names on the group here. Bruno, you don't know what it feel like.
No, what you're talking about, yeah.
Like. Huh? Pogba, you don't know what it feel like.
Whoa.
No, I'm
talk your shit. No, talk your shit. He doesn't have a prem. He doesn't know what it feels like.
You don't know what it feel like. It's the best feeling in the world. That's how I'm feeling. That's how I'm feeling. But yeah, I think it was so weird, bro. I think like everyone was saying, you just feel a sense of relief, bro. Like it's finally happened. And I think a lot of the Arsenal fans that I know, even the ones that did believe would win it, I think everyone had the exact same feeling. Just like finally. Yeah, bro. How we were 5. The older guys in this group, I don't know how old you guys were.
5, 6, 7, yeah.
Like,
wait, who was 7?
You.
I didn't turn 7 yet. I was still turning 7. I was 6 when it happened.
No,
the difference.
Now. You saying my birthday was only a month later. Look at this.
2 months later.
Come on, bro.
3
2 months later, come on.
Yeah, that was 6. Don't make me 7.
And I've experienced titles in other forms, but I don't think I've ever felt like the way I felt after this. Like just that, like you were saying, like Malcolm's analogy about Messi thing, just relief. Bro, I didn't know what to do with myself when it happened. I didn't know what to do. Like it just felt like I actually needed to be back in London to one, go past Toby's house and slap him, and then go to the Emirates.
No,
but
I think overall, that's how it felt. Just to build on that, dude, I had to hold myself from recklessly spending because in that moment, it's like I'm very happy. I saw a tweet that there was a Liverpool fan who was hating, but it was like the best thing about your rivals winning the title is the realization that your life doesn't change the next day. And I'm happy I saw that tweet because my search bar was massive. I was looking at flights to when it was in Budapest. I was looking at flights, how much Champions League tickets were. I was going to put myself in so much debt, and I said, whoa. This guy's actually right. No, I genuinely, it felt like there needed to be a big crescendo moment. Like we needed something like fireworks.
Like I was wrong. My life has changed. My life has changed.
I mean,
I'm not the same. I'm not the same. Everything in my life is different. I see the world differently. My perspective, it's enriched. Things are possible, dog. Chase your dreams. Chase your dreams. That's what that result's given me. But you know how the Arsenal fans feel. Toby, as a bystander in a season where Manchester United successfully broke the assist record, what has this experience been like for you?
Why are you doing that, bro? Come on. That's not a thing. But you know what? I'm content. said this on the group the other day that it doesn't change much for me personally. Arsenal fans, I'm happy for my dad. I'm happy for Malcolm. I'm happy for you guys because you deserve this. Let's not lie. You can't be playing that well over the last 3 to 4 years and not end up with a trophy. It's unfair. But what I wanted to touch on was basically, right, Arsenal should have had 3 red cards this season. They should have had 3 penalties conceded. How can you go a whole season with not having any penalties go against you? That doesn't make sense to me personally. That's how you know the PGMOL has done something wrong. And I want one of you guys to admit one of that. Just one of them. That is not fair.
Kenny, you're hosting, so you delegate.
Boo-hoo, nigga. Boo-hoo.
What do you
I
mean?
think it's a very simple answer I could give you, brother. We have the best defense in the world. Like the idea that Oaks just like recklessly will give away penalties like your muumush defenders. Why would you expect that from us? Everyone else goes into next season thinking we need to reinforce our defense. Everyone
You think
else.
we have Malasia? You think we have Malasia? That's not gonna happen this side, bro.
We also have funny Oaks at the back. Bro, this season, you started the season, you didn't know your keeper. You didn't know him. You were guessing, saying, yo, I wonder who will sign. You started the season with Bayinda. You guys, you're busy keeping the low at your club for 6 years. But you want to talk about why Arsenal didn't concede penalties. It's not some mistake that Arsenal don't have those kinds of things. You can make the argument, sure, that Arsenal were maybe a bit fortunate there. Like to not receive a single penalty. But I think you have to also be mindful of the fact that in the VAR era, it's unlikely that certain penalties and certain calls are going to be given when you could very easily look and say, actually, that's not really a pen. In a different time, sure, maybe there's calls that go a bit differently. But I don't think that those calls go so aggressively against us that Arsenal don't win the league regardless. This did not happen. This did not happen because the referees were on their side. Anyway, Sheiks, I'll hand over to you.
As you guys know, I'm the guy who likes to remind people of shit they've said before. So if you recall, the 24-25 season, after Declan Rice was given a red card for kicking the ball away, Toby Animashaun said on our group chat, Arsenal players are so ill-disciplined. 3 red cards in 5 games. So why didn't you make that PGMO comment last season? Why is it when we have the most red cards in a Premier League season of all the top 6 clubs, you're quiet? But now, when we fix the very thing you were complaining about, our discipline, it's now a conspiracy theory, and the PGMOL is now helping it. So let's talk about you, Mr. Animashaun. What is that about?
Well, I mean, we can literally point to evidence. Kai Havertz foul on, what's his name, the Burnley player. That was a red card. But it's clear. There was also a message from the ex-Premier League CEO who said there has to be a rule in the Premier League where every 6 years there's
nonsense.
So that's, what do you mean nonsense? You've seen the video.
They've had Toby, we've had, and no, you deserve it.
Get this man off the stage. Get this man off the stage.
Listen,
it pains me to see you and Malcolm explain things. Why? Why?
I mean, there's nothing to explain. There's nothing
Why
to
do you
change.
guys feel like you need to explain yourselves?
Let's bring
It's
some
a
order.
debate
Not
show.
on the Premier League
No, it's a
when
debate.
they were still in high school.
Let's bring some
Why?
order. I wanted to respond to what Kanye told me, and I'm bringing up the facts. It's clear that the PGMO had a, and that was to make Arsenal winners, and that's okay. No one's going to look back and say, "Oh, the PGMO helped Arsenal win." They're just going to look at the trophy and see Arsenal's name there. So that's why
Toby, but this is why I'm calling out your inconsistencies, because when Declan Rice was given a red card for moving a fucking ball 5 centimeters, you didn't talk about unfair calls against Arsenal, right? You said, oh, these Oaks have no discipline. I remember the message. Let's start. It's bookmarked, in fact. I released all my bookmarks after we won the PL. Did I tell you guys? I uninstalled all of them. But the thing I'm trying to say is also is the inconsistencies in you and a bunch of fans, right? Because these moments only matter when your ultimate agenda fails. Because when we were being toasted, the reason we didn't compete last season the way we should have, on top of like inconsistent performances, is refereeing decisions were ridiculous. I saw Gabriel Jesus get assaulted by Mosquera. The Wolves, and then he got the yellow card. No, like, look, I know it's fun. I hate that Oak, bro. You know when we watch Wolves, you saw me cursing him out. I hate him, dude. But like, no, in all seriousness, and also, okay, before I get to all seriousness, let me address the last bit of nonsense. The whole new Premier League champion every 6 years. we've had 3 different champions the past 3 years. So clearly they didn't even listen to that memo because the past 3 years has had a different champion every single year. So why didn't that apply to Liverpool, but it applies to Arsenal? In any case, I still have this to say, right? This is my closing sentiment to agree with what my brother Mvu was saying that. That's on you niggas. If these are the questions you want to ask, that's on you niggas, bro.
I mean,
I
it's
have a good friend.
It's valid question. Sorry, also wanted to add, and
Right.
it's a question I Anya. So, and to the rest of you. So, the fact that FIFA has introduced that anti-Arsenal law for the 2026 World Cup for the VAR, how does that, guys, make you feel in terms of all
Which
the
anti-
grabbing?
I don't feel anything.
He's scoring
bro.
50
I feel-
set pieces next season. That's how I feel.
I feel absolutely nothing. I feel that rule changes very little. I think that as much as Arsenal may have changed how set pieces were taken in the Premier League this season, Arsenal also suffered because of their additional physicality. There were many, many games where Arsenal players were fouled when they were taking corners. And because there's this perception that Arsenal are more aggressive than other teams, none of those calls were given. And Arsenal fans let those things slide because there is an awareness that, yeah, sure, Arsenal are generally more aggressive than other teams. We have made it really fucking uncomfortable. And it's a narrative you would have seen lots of other Arsenal fans say to you. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But you can't expect fans of the team who were told for years, toughen up. You need your players to be stronger there. You need players to show up more. It can't be that your guys' players are the only ones who wilt whenever there's a bit of physicality. Then suddenly, when Arsenal is the team that is the most physical in the league, the team that is most ready and capable of imposing themselves, that you then want the same Arsenal to be like, no, it's unfair. It's unfair. No, bro, that rule's not going to change anything. It won't change a thing for Arsenal. I think it's going to impact a whole bunch of other teams who don't know how to actually play to the letter of the law, but not us, because we're aware that because the fact that it's even called an Arsenal law, that on its own, that's some fucking bullshit. Like, even though it's colloquially and it's not the official thing, that there's a problem there in terms of what the reporting looks like. Because that's an agenda. That's an agenda being purported. That's not at all related to the truth. Go ahead, Cheeks.
I was gonna say, you touched on it there, and we can honestly spend the whole episode just debunking these falsehoods about Arsenal. But we're not going to, because we have more constructive things to talk about. But this is the one that I do want to debunk. This sentiment of Arsenal's over reliance on set pieces. I ran the numbers. Toby, which team had the highest proportion of set piece goals relative to the goals they scored last season in the Premier League? Just take a wild guess. Who do you think it is? I know Kanye knows, but Toby, who do you think it is?
I don't know. It's probably like Leeds, West Ham, one of those below teams or something like that.
United.
Manchester United.
Bruno's assist, yes, makes sense.
You guys scored 3 less than us. You guys scored 26 set pieces. We scored 29. So if there's anyone that's going to get hurt by set pieces, it's going to be you and your greatest midfielder of all time, Bruno Fernandes. In any case, Kanya, please, can we move on to the Champions League if you don't mind? Because we can talk about the Toby's going to be more lively in this conversation.
Yes. No, thanks for that, Cheeks. But important to remember before we speak for the Champions League, to the fans who have had their day in the sun, not through their own team season, of course, but through what has happened to Arsenal, a reminder: we entered this game as Premier League champions. This is not Vegas. That does not go away because we didn't win the Champions League. Premier League champions at the start of the season, and that'll be the case at the very least until April next season. It'll be the champions have. Every sentence starts with the champions. You're coming up against the champions. The champions are coming to your stadium every week. Don't lose sight of that narrative. No matter what you'd like to say about the team, the champions of England, it's Arsenal Football Club.
Jeez.
Now that we've said that,
Please start with me when you've led this in before I hop off.
A 1-1 draw against PSG before losing on penalties in what is the most frustrating games I've seen Arsenal play in a very long time. Lads, I won't lie, when that final penalty went over the bar, I was crestfallen. It changed my Saturday evening plans massively. I think I had a long night out planned, but I was home by like 12:30. And it's heartbreak. I can't pretend that I'm unaffected by the fact that we didn't win, because I believed with everything in me that it was coming home. But we lick our wounds and we move on. Mvu, I didn't see you on the day. What did you make of that game? How was the experience for you? What were your key takeaways?
Well, I'll first start off by saying there are worse ways to lose a game. And I think losing a Champions League final after winning the league on penalties didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. Maybe I was still in that sense of euphoria of winning the league, and I'd come to accept that, hey, you can't win everything as much as I'd love to. It's not a mentality thing, it's just also sometimes being realistic. But a title was there to be won, so I left with that disappointment. But I feel I was more disappointed in some aspects of the performance. And while I know that that was probably the best way to beat this PSG team, and we nullified them in the first half with great defensive shape, like they had no space, they ran out of ideas. Dembele was struggling to occupy our two centre backs. For all that was good in the first half, I still felt that in moments of great defending, you need some way to ease the pressure, because it's very difficult for everyone to defend that way for 90 minutes against a side like PSG. It's just how I feel. It's how I felt watching the game. I was saying this to Tabani next to me, and he kept on saying, it's the only way it will beat the team. It's the best, like, it's the game plan is working. I was like, yes, I know, but you need moments of alleviating pressure. And I felt that we didn't do that enough, and that's what led to a Mascara mistake. You can't just play like that. I was also disappointed with some players in their performance while they
Name the players.
yeah, don't worry, I'll do that. While they did great defensively and helped out the team, I am of the belief that big players, you just snatch some of these moments. It doesn't always happen, but this is where you make a mark for yourself. So I think those were my areas of disappointment more than anything. Yeah, so it had nothing to do with how we defended, just there weren't moments of alleviating pressure. There wasn't enough from Saka, Odegaard going forward. There wasn't enough from Eze. Maybe he never had enough time. But those are the guys that I look at to do something for us going forward. And it just wasn't there. So, yeah, I thought that goal was coming. But when it was at penalties, I was like, okay.
Nah, heard. I think that point about alleviating pressure is probably the one that rings most true. Like a psychopath, I rewatched the game on Sunday, actually, to try and make sense of it. I needed to see where this went wrong. I wasn't at peace. I hadn't accepted what had happened to us. And the fact that once the second half starts, it feels like our backs are against the wall all 15 minutes up until that penalty gets given. And it left with a lot of thoughts. I was thinking maybe we needed to make subs earlier. Maybe we needed to act sooner, because obviously Arteta makes subs as soon as that happens, right? And it's almost like I really do think his rationale was, if we can just weather these first 15 minutes, then make the changes, we're good. Because once changes came in, the game did swing again. And it's one of those things where it's almost like maybe you were a bit too reactive. You had too much faith that they could continue going that way. But you should have known they were going to come out strong. They were going to come out super aggressive. They were going to press with everything that they had. And it's one of those things where so many things went against us quite early on. It's Mascara getting that needless yellow card. I don't even think he was truly wasting time that moment in time. The amount of pressure that then gets added to the players, the fact that when we are on the verge of breaking out from that pressure, there's fouls that just aren't being given our way. We aren't getting that rub of the green where suddenly you have just a bit of respite. If you get a corner, it's a little bit. But we didn't. And ultimately, things happened the way they did. It's not something that I think any Arsenal fan will be over truly for quite some time. But yeah, Sheiks, what about you? How did you make sense of all of that?
That performance to me solidified something in my mind, in my opinion. It gave me, actually, it's not even my opinion, factually. Arteta has built a top 3 defensive team of the 21st century. That is exactly what that performance showed me. Now, of course, to Mvu's point, that's not enough to win a UEFA Champions League title. I hear that point, going back to the points made earlier when I was saying give Madueke the contract. I understand that we're going to need more going forward, or we're going to need to refine our combinations or readjust how we progress the ball forward and how we play on the front foot. I acknowledge all of that. But for me, what people are really missing in their analysis of this, people have forgotten what this team is. I heard about it, I was watching my football content of a few creators I follow, and they just mentioned the score. I said, oh man, it was 5-0. Crazy. So that's what this team is capable of. And what I witnessed was Dembélé having to play right wing for the first time since Mbappe left PSG.
They made him and do a swap, boy. They said, hey, no one's getting past in Cup here. There was no plan.
No one's getting past in Cup here. Not only that, the spacing between our back four and Rice and Lewis Skelly, who marshaled that zone, was impeccable. Right? We know that Havertz and Odegaard can do a shift defensively, but they have a tendency at times to be shadows. They don't necessarily engage the way PSG's front nine or Liverpool's, under Klopp, that front nine would engage, or even Man United, Toby, if you can think back to your childhood, the way they would engage. The Rooney, Tevez, Ronaldo, that era. So they can be shadows at times, and that's also why Zubimendi, I think, started to really, when his legs gave up on him, we started to see our team get penetrated through the middle more often. But what I saw from just their understanding of spacing, both, in terms of their depth and their width, Miles Skelly and Rice both have the football IQ and the engine to really marshal that space. So I was so impressed. Toby said in pre-production that he wished he watched the final with me. And I was like, bro, I was very calm. Up until penalties. I was calm for two reasons. One, what I was seeing. But two, I called this game to a T. I literally said, we're going to score first. PSG will equalize. It's going to be a nothing at a time, and it's going to go to penalty. So as Jesus wasn't nervous when he was on the river, with the disciples, because he knew he was fine. So I knew where this game was going. I didn't know how the game was going to end. So that's why penalties, I was a bit nervous. But in all seriousness, I say that to say, yes, there are definitely glaring holes that need to be addressed, right, with Mikel Arteta.
Big.
I always, okay, not there, no, relax. I always say that it's so much easier to instill freedom, creativity, and self-belief in a team that knows what they're good at, right? Like, the best example of what I'm speaking of from the other point of view is Garnacho, right? So Garnacho, his confidence dipped, right? And I bring him up now because of the tattoo he got. His confidence dipped in form, and he's been struggling to pick it up, because if you ask him what he's good at, I don't think he knows. Martinelli's another example of that. Martinelli is so caught between what he can do versus what he's actually doing, because he doesn't have that refined self-belief. When I look at our squad, I'm seeing a squad that knows to score against us is virtually impossible, especially in a cup format, in a cup competition. It's so difficult. So we now need to, again, work on our combinations. We now also know what Miles Skelly is going to be doing for our squad. So there's no longer the whys. We have hopefully an Eze that's acclimated a bit more. In terms of what I would love to see, and it's quite sad to say, because whenever I think of the best combinations with Arsenal, I don't see how Odegaard fits into that. Not because I think he's a bad player, but because that number 10 position vanished in football for a reason. It's such a hard position to accommodate for. I imagine a system, sorry, this is just me just spitballing now. I imagine a system where you have Rice as a right center midfielder, Lewis Skelly as a left center midfielder, who are seamlessly switching positions with your fullbacks. And then you allow Saka to play more central, closer to the striker, playing as an inside forward. And maybe that can be the solution, or adding to that, Rice, now that he's pushing a bit wider, in this, imaginary world I'm establishing, he can do what De Bruyne did. And he's whipping crosses in. He's one of the best crossers of the ball in world football. So I just say that to say, yes, there are problems. Yes, the Champions League final highlighted some of those problems. But there's so many solutions now that A, we've refined ourselves as winners, and B, we believe what we know has always been the truth. The question I have for him, kind of, if you don't mind, I saw you rejoicing. I see you with the PSG scarf. What are you guys really happy about? Like, when you break it down for me, because I want to paint a picture for you, and I don't have the exact number. This is me spitballing. You're rejoicing that a team that has been the best performing team in England over the past 4 seasons, right, has amassed more points than anyone else, has finally won the Premier League, has lost, I think it's something like 7 Champions or 8 Champions League games over the past 3 seasons, right? I saw a stat that we haven't conceded an open play goal when Saliba and Gabriel are both on the pitch in the Champions League this season. So when you're here wearing the scarf, you're rejoicing, saying Dembélé, Dembouz, what are you actually happy about? Like, what direction do you see as, like, what do you think comes next? Do you think the next step is for us to all of a sudden go back to, like, getting knocked out in group stage?
But no.
Help me understand your joy.
Champions of Europe, you'll never sing that. You'll never sing that. You'll never sing that. Champions of Europe, you'll never sing that. And the funny thing is, Crystal Palace can come to the Emirates next season and sing the same thing.
He's not going to answer my question.
Sorry?
You're not going to answer my question, are you?
No, I'm going to answer your question. But to be honest, the thing that makes me the happiest is, and it's from a personal hatred point of view, right? Because on the group, Tabani will be my witness, we went through a full day of when Kanye thought he was the greatest man on earth. His team was in the Champions League final. He was saying, bro, when's the last time you won this? When's the last time you won this? You can't even remember this. You were getting ready for school and all this shit. And the funny thing is, it's more to do with you guys as fans, bro. It's nothing to do with your squad. I like the Arsenal squad. It's just the way you guys think that you're one of the best teams in the world. You play haram football.
We don't.
Football won. And to answer your question, I'm happy about the fact that football won that day. And I wanted to touch on this because Arsenal just finished winning a Premier League. You guys and Mikel Arteta should have gone into that game saying, you know what? We have nothing to lose. Let's just go. I know PSG, you can say what they did to Bayern, but I do feel like that PSG defense, they have some weaknesses. You guys could have, found some of those weaknesses and actually given them a game, because I do feel like there was moments in that game where PSG looked vulnerable when you guys were attacking them. Madueke almost had Nuno Mendes on the ropes sometimes. And I feel like there was opportunity for you guys to actually do some damage. But this whole narrative of, let's just stay back, let's play haram football, I saw that so much this season. Sorry?
That's sorry, I don't want to interrupt you because we've been speaking. Go ahead.
I feel like you guys keep on saying, oh, it's the best way to beat PSG, etc., etc. But I feel like, okay, first half, fair enough. Maybe you wanted to see what PSG were going to come out with and you saw. But I do feel like I've mentioned, there was time for you guys to go forward and create some issues for the team. But you guys were staying back the whole time. So that's the first thing. Being brave, that wasn't the thing I want. That wasn't the thing Arsenal and Arteta did. The second thing is, you guys claim to have all these world-class players. Bukayo Saka. Have you seen my son Bukayo? He has failed to show up in a number of games now that you guys have needed him. And it's sad. What type of a world-class player gets hooked before penalties? Dembélé stayed on the pitch. All these players stayed on the pitch for so long.
No, they didn't. Let
me clarify. Before the final whistle blew, a lot of these players stayed on the pitch because they knew maybe these are world-class players. They can give you a moment when they can score a goal. You're going to mention Kvaratskhelia. He came off of Barcola. Yes, that was one of them. But a few of them stayed on for a while. Saka got hooked on
Sorry. I'm sorry. You started now to just outright tell a lie.
No.
Okay, I must stop you. Wait. I must stop you. Kvaratskhelia and Saka went off in the same minute.
Time.
They went off at the same time. Dembele went off 7 minutes later. This idea that you are now creating that's not based in reality. It's not.
That was because of injury. I'm not gonna stop. That was because of injury. We saw how he pulled up his hamstring. We saw him pull up, bro. We saw him pull up.
Saka's been playing with one Achilles the whole season. What are we doing here?
Back to this, bro. I thought he healed. Arteta said he's healed now. I'll find the tweet and I'll find the news article and I'll publish it. He said, he's healed. There'll be no issue with it. Still not turning up.
I apologize. I don't mean to come off as condescending, but do you know what a chronic injury is, bro? In all seriousness, your favorite player that you voted to get his MBE had a chronic injury, right? That's exactly why you were defending him at United when people were saying sell Rashford. It's a chronic injury. You're going to live with this thing until such a point where you can rehabilitate this injury and it doesn't impact you. Saka quite clearly. Like, I don't know. Again, I just don't like the disingenuous conversations. If you want to say Saka should do more, like Bruce said, perfectly fine. I hear you. Cool. But to then take it to the opposite extreme and to make it seem like he's doing this because he's unable to do it. I'm like, let's be serious. Like, it's quite clear the guy's not playing at 100%. Now, this doesn't absolve him from criticism, right? Because you're on the pitch. So we're going to judge you based on what you do on the pitch. But all I'm saying is, in your criticism, don't make it seem like it's this unknown, like the Monstars took his powers away and now no, the guy shows up in moments.
He's washed. Unfortunately, he's just washed at them. Like, I hope he comes back. I told you, I like Saka. He's Nigerian. I hope he does well, but he's washed. And this whole narrative that, this
What a
injury thing,
shame.
I can point to a message I said in 2024.
What a
Yes,
shame.
I mean, yes, it's a chronic injury, bro. But at some point, we need to call a spade a spade. The guy is washed now. I don't know if he will ever come back to the levels that we hope. I'm not saying he's a... Listen, and when I say washed, by that I mean he's not a world class. Let me just make sure when that I'm clarifying. When I say washed, he's not world class like you guys claim him to be. But I don't want to get into that argument. So that's my main... Arsenal not being brave enough and their so-called world class players not turning up when it matters. So there's a lot of things I'm happy about. But going into the next season, I don't want to talk about it too much in terms of Europe.
That's where my question was coming from, though. It's It's like when
Sorry?
You know, when people were rejoicing us finishing second, it's like, did you guys really think that like this cycle was going to end without us winning it? Okay, and I understand that the Champions League is more unpredictable. This really could be, the last time you feature in the final. Fine. But what I'm saying is, I think, and I look at Adam McCullough, your best friend, and this idea that overnight Arsenal is going to fall off a cliff. Yeah. Guys, please look at the age of our players. The oldest player in our squad is Gabriel Magalhaes, and he's 29. Havertz is also turning 29. Like, what are we doing here? So it's like, of course, get your joy off, celebrate.
You don't want us to be happy about Arsenal falling off. That's very strange. But my main point is this, though. But I get what you're saying. And it's funny because before the podcast started, I was thinking that when I was walking back home, actually, about the Premier League. Because my point is, I don't know why people are hyped that Arsenal are winning the Premier League when it's going to happen again next season. I know, I'm saying it now, it's going to happen again next season. And if it doesn't happen again next season, you have to fire Arteta. That's the first thing, because you're coming into a season where there's so much disruption at other clubs, but your team has been doing this consistently for the last 4 years. So, I'm thinking Arsenal can probably go on a mad run here where they're winning maybe four Premier Leagues in a row if Arteta does stay there. That's my personal point of view. It's actually dark for the rest of us. And you guys know I'm anti-Carrick. So I don't believe we're doing anything. But Champions League, like you mentioned, is a completely different story. So that's why I'm a bit more, relaxed there. Because I don't see next season. I'm thinking, okay, you can come back against a Real Madrid side. Maybe they're going to have Konate, going to get a few more players that might cook. It might come against PSG again, who arguably are going to add to this team and then probably get even better. So that's why I'm a bit more relaxed. Premier League, I've accepted. It's over. I've already accepted that one, bro. But Champions League, that's where I have my hope. That's where my hope lies. Again, that I continue to say I'm a champion of Europe and you're not.
Look, I think for me, sorry, Kanye, I don't know if you have anything you want to chime in on, or if I can respond. I think for me, when you look at the whole conversation of, I think you're being a bit hyperbolic when you say Arteta should be fired, but your point is acknowledged.
Okay, carry on.
I think I don't think any sane person would look at Arteta. Say next season, okay. I don't know if Toby, I couldn't hear you there, but say next season we win trophies, but we don't win the Prem. Right? I don't know what trophies they are, but just let's say we win trophies, but we don't win the Prem. I don't think the sane solution is fire Arteta. Right? I think you're again, right now what Arsenal need to do is we need to sustain what we've built. Right? Of course, we need to aim higher. I agree. I said over the next 4 seasons, I'm hoping or I'm expecting three Premier League titles or 3 over the next 5. Yeah. That's what I think is acceptable, right? And I say that humbly. I'm not saying that we deserve them, but I'm just saying when you look at what you've just spelled out, right? Where United are, where City are, where Chelsea are, where Liverpool are, it's a logical solution. Now, of course, we don't know what's going to come from that. I'm very skeptical or nervous of Iraola at Liverpool. I'll be very honest, and we'll talk about that in another episode. But the Champions League, like you're saying, is a different ball game. But again, this, I think people did not evolve with the change in format of the Champions League. Part of why I believe Arsenal are better suited to this Champions League format than the old one is because this Champions League format rewards meritocracy better than the old one. So by that I mean, if you are a high performing team, it will reflect in the standings, and the standings, whether you like it or not, impacts how teams perform. I think back to, it's not a shock to me why Man City, since the change happened, haven't been thriving the way they did prior to, right? Because I say that because in the league phase, this year they did better, but last year they were in the play. Remember, they were trying to get the playoff position and they were going to the final day. So when Oaks are seeing you struggle against Monaco and Sporting and all of those teams, it's not the same aura or the same psychological edge that would be the case when you were dominating Group F with, Sporting and all. I think now the league, at least up until say the quarterfinals, rewards meritocracy. So with that being said, I'm looking at Arsenal in the Champions League, and I understand what you're saying. You could run into this, you could run into that. Or we could have another run like we did this year, where we're on the complete other side of the tree. And what I'm saying is, the reason I'm confident in that is because I'm not saying we're going to finish at first every year in the Champions League, but if it's a system that rewards meritocracy and rewards good defending and good discipline, Arsenal are going to be in the top 2-3, top 3 in that league. I'm confident to say that every season for the next 3 seasons, which then bodes the question: are we going to get blessed in the draw again and again and again? We were in that position because we finished first. And Liverpool finished first the year prior and they got absolutely fucked. So look, all I'm saying is the Champions League now more than ever is a league where you don't have to be the best team in Europe to win it. You really don't. You just have to perform in the league phase, pray you're on the right side of the draft, and then show up in big moments. And that's exactly what happened with PSG. PSG weren't the most consistent side in Europe. If we're looking at consistency of form, Bayern Munich should have won this thing. Bayern Munich have been fucking incredible. Company's done an incredible job, but look at how things turned out, right? So I say that to say, Champions League, it's a beast of its own, right? I acknowledge that you can't predict it, but as Rice said, we will be back, and I say that with him because they've failed, but they've won. So the failure is not an indictment on what they are capable of. The failure is, that's a learning curve. And the only thing worse than an Arsenal that is winning games is an Arsenal that knows they should be winning games. And it's been a very long time since we've had that. Once we get that voice in our head that makes us self-destruct out of our heads, watch what happens. Watch the space. I'm saying it's going to be very scary in all competitions because I truly believe this squad does not think there's a squad in England at the very least that is anywhere near what they are or where they are. Again, scared of Iraola. We'll see what happens there. Arteta hasn't beaten him. But I say that to say, next 5 seasons.
That's the only chop I hear. UCL chop, Europe chop, I don't hear. But anyways,
next 5 seasons will be in 2 Champions League finals. That's all I'm saying.
Huh?
Next 5 seasons will be in 2 Champions League finals. I'm telling you.
Okay, strong words from Cheeks. Very strong words from Cheeks. So we've heard the Arsenal take. Toby, I think I've tried to hear the best parts of what it is that you guys were pushing back against. That United have a Champions League heritage. That there is a history of achieving. There is a history of being a certain way. And I think ironically, United have a thing for playing as the underdog that a lot of teams do not have right now. They are ironically at a point now where they can no longer assert their dominance the way they used to. I think that bodes well for what United's character is going to be like. At least in the early stages. We don't know exactly how long he'll be there. I'm personally of the opinion that he was the coach that United were always likely to get because they cycled through every other kind of coach. You've gone for the Dutch alternative coach who's going to try get you playing Croatian football, and he didn't even adhere to that. You've gone for the next up-and-coming coach in Ruben Amorim. The fact that you're now here with Michael Carrick, I don't think it's an accident. I think that the ball was always going to land at the feet of why not trust one of our own. I don't think that it's lost on anyone at United that Arsenal won the league with a former player. I don't think that it could happen by mistake. That there's a belief that this can happen. That if you do trust and back a young coach, it's entirely plausible that that person can build something. The fact that he got the players on side as quickly as he did and got United playing a lot more freely, the fact that you ended up breaking the assist record, regardless of how much weight you believe it holds, I don't think it's a mistake. No, I do agree with a lot of what Sheeks has said. I think that Arsenal are generally positioned better than most other teams in England right now. I think that's the reward of stability. And I also don't think that that's, a fortunate thing. I think that he was appointed with that in mind. The idea that you're not going to beat them right now. The idea is that those coaches will leave and there will be a moment in time where Arsenal will be best positioned to be the best team in the world, or at least the best team in England. First things first. But I'm more measured. I appreciate that Sheik still has the same gusto, the same fire when speaking about Arsenal and our prospects. You need that perspective. I think right now I'm more in a state of monitoring what Arsenal do from here. I'm very curious about how Arsenal approach the window, but this is not the time to speak about this at this moment in time. The truth of the matter is, and we do have to ultimately acknowledge it, PSG have won back-to-back Champions League titles. Luis Enrique has found a way to do it once again. And honestly, congratulations to them. Congratulations to their fans. Congratulations to anyone who predicted at the start of the season. I didn't think that they'd be able to bounce back from the Club World Cup. The amount of injuries and just general fatigue it had impacted their squad. Of course, we've seen that they've managed to just keep their minutes very, very, very low with that in mind. And they pulled it off. And I think that a lot of other teams might have failed in trying to juggle their squads in that way. A lot of trust he showed in his squad holistically, and I think that's something that Arteta needs to get better at as well. So there's lots to learn in many different ways. On my side, I think the most important thing to remember is it's not done. None of this is done. I don't think this is a loss that defines Arsenal in any way. I think it's just one of those where you kind of have to just take it on the chin. It's part of what competing is like. Arsenal didn't win the league the very first time they competed in 22-23. And if everyone's honest, they probably weren't ready to either. As much as you might have wanted it, as much as we were desperate for it, there's a reason it didn't happen. And when you need to actually get over the line, there are certain things that you need to have about you, ways of just getting it done that Arsenal didn't have. And I think the same is true of what happened in the Champions League. There's no version of me that can say Arsenal deserved to win it. I think PSG ultimately put up as good as they got. And I think on a different day, Arsenal could have been fortunate enough to get through and to win on penalties. But when you end your penalties with Gabriel taking the last one, in a world where that was the one to win it, I don't think that would have worked out for us either. And yeah, I've made sense of it. Toby, I'd love to hear your closing remarks. I think we pretty much covered and given the viewers enough juice to satiate them until the World Cup comes around.
Our last remarks, I'm going to focus on the World Cup. Once again, I do feel like this is the year for Portugal. This is the year. Obviously, Ronaldo finally won that trophy with Al Nassr. João Felix is somehow a man. He's a man in form. I know that's not the guy. He's not really the guy I've been trusting. In this World Cup, expect big things from João Felix. That's my last remark. He's going to turn up. He's going to be actually, you know what? Let me leave you guys with something. He'll be in the team of the tournament. Malcolm?
Bold take. Sheiks?
Yeah, well, after that, I'm a bit stunned. I just hope in my lifetime I find someone that supports me the way Toby supports Ronaldo. That's all I have to say.
No.
The fact that he's switching up on João Felix for Ronaldo World Cup, the number one João Felix hater. You created that account on Twitter. Remember that? Yeah, you created that account. That is unbelievable. So yeah, in this life, I just want to say peace and love to everyone. Find people that ride for you and that love you the way Toby loves Cristiano.
Okay. Wow. What I have to say is going early doors. Argentina are not winning the World Cup. Germany are not winning this World Cup. France are not winning this World Cup. The winner will come from someone else. Lads, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for pushing through with us in this very, very different throwback style D&D episode. Appreciate your time.